We are recording.
Yay! Hi, Kitty!
Hi, Dorkus.
We get some action.
Action scene. Right into it.
Yeah, a very strong start to the book. A great demonstration of what mistborning can do.
Mm-hmm.
We get a little bit of insight into that wonderful juxtaposition from chapter 1 regarding a respectful but hostile tone of voice from our Khandra friend, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And this epigraph, well, I had a lot of thoughts on it, and it sent me down an epigraph gopher hole? An epigraph trail. Basically I'm saying I went back and read a bunch of previous epigraphs, and now I have theories and questions which we will discuss at some point. Yes?
Yes.
Excellent.
Let's go.
Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. For this particular series, I am joined by my wonderful co-host, That Darn Kitty.
Dorkus and I are both going into the story completely new, with almost no knowledge of the story or world.
Each segment, we intend to cover what happens in each new chapter and discuss our experience along the way.
Hold on to your butts, because this is Ascension Unleashed, a blind read-through. And today we will be covering Chapter 2.
Chapter 2! Opening up to the page. One moment.
Okay, I'll do some ASMR as well.
Never. Not on this channel.
Right? Oh.
I have begun to wonder if I am the only sane man left. Can the others not see? They have been waiting so long for their hero to come, the one spoken of in Terrace prophecies, that they quickly jump to conclusions, presuming that each story and legend applies to this one man.
Hold on. I just want to ask you about your edition, okay? Because mine says they quickly jump between conclusions. I know it's not that much of a difference.
They quickly jump to conclusions is what I have.
Yeah, I've got between. That's weird.
Interesting.
Between what is the difference between? I'm like, what's the difference between that? Jump to conclusions, jump between. That's.
I feel like jumping to conclusions is really just jumping to one specific conclusion that he is the hero of ages, whereas jumping between conclusions suggests more.
Yes, it suggests more than one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, as I said, this sent me down a rabbit hole, not gopher hole. The phrase came to mind. Yay. This sent me down a rabbit hole, but my immediate thought when I first read that was, oh, so this is Rashek.
This is, yeah, it's like from... No. Okay, no. I'm not getting the immediate Rashek.
I know...
Wait. I get it, yeah?
I no longer think that, to be clear. Although it would be very interesting if it was. But Rashek doesn't rub me as a journalist.
Writer. Yeah, he's not writing. Yeah, he's not journaling on his he's throwing boulders and stuff. He's not. Yeah, I don't feel like that.
Yeah. Now the phrase "the one spoken of in Terrace prophecies." If it were Rashek, why wouldn't he just say "our prophecies"? Given that he's a bit of a populist, right?
Yeah.
And then I thought, what if it's Quan?
Oh, okay, Quan.
Because we do know that Quan betrayed Epigraph Man at one point. He stopped thinking of Epigraph Man as the hero of ages, and we know that Quan was something of an outsider Terrace philosopher as it was. So I'm sort of bouncing between it's Quan or it's someone else entirely, because why else would you refer to them as Terrace prophecies instead of our prophecies?
Our prophecies. It's, well, I'm with you on this being somebody that's in the party with him, or whatever it is, going to the Well of Ascension. So we have another mystery epigraph, I suppose, to see where this comes from, if we ever will. But also, I think that we're clearly being guided to think about the prophecies at all, just at length, okay, in broad terms, that we must now start thinking about, wait, those prophecies still haven't been fulfilled, which we were already on in the previous book. We were like, okay, we're getting to this, that, okay, maybe if somebody didn't, if the hero that was there failed, somebody else is coming. You know, we already got that idea introduced to us.
Right.
So that's what I took from the epigraph.
Fantastic. And as I said, this started getting me down this rabbit hole of Vin is the hero of ages, right? And then I thought, well, didn't we have a conversation about the pronoun he and how we might be disappointed if Sanderson did some sort of linguistic trick or that trope, the I am no man trope, or in Valyrian, that word could mean man, but it could also mean woman. So I went back and reread a bunch of the epigraphs and the journal segments, and I had a handful of takeaways, right?
Yes.
Is my defense of Summer Hill really the burden by which the hero shall be dubbed? For some reason, and I'm short-circuiting right now, but for some reason I had connected this in my mind with the burden of defeating the Lord Ruler. Vin defeating the Lord Ruler is comparable to doing a great deed, certainly worthy of being called a hero, right?
Yeah, that's definitely a thing, yeah.
So I feel like there's a connection between defense of Summerhill and defeating the Lord Ruler. Then there's the phrase, my several marriages could give me a bloodless bond to the world's kings. Well, we know King Elend, but then also if she sort of has this relationship by proxy with Straff, if he happens to be calling himself king as well, which it sounds like he is.
Okay. Yeah, in this, because this war has now begun. Yeah.
And then, so then we get to the pronoun epigraph.
Yes.
Which is in parentheses. None of the other epigraphs are in parentheses, but this one is. And it's, he shall defend their ways, yet shall violate them. He will be their savior, yet they shall call him heretic. His name shall be discord, yet they shall love him for it. It does not specifically say that that is of the Terrace prophecies. So I wouldn't put it past Sanderson to trick us in this way. I feel like he wants us to think it's the Terrace prophecy that is being quoted here.
Yeah.
But I can't think of a way short of doing that I am no man kind of trick. The only logical explanation I can think of for getting around that is that was never part of the prophecies to begin with. And what do you think?
Yeah, that it's, look, at least it could be that it's not about, it could still be part of the prophecies. One comes from the shadows and it becomes, I do think it makes sense. Your theory here makes sense that it could be, it's still, I actually think it could still be part of some sort of prophecy, but it might not be that it's referring to the hero of ages. It could be referring to a figure, which I really do think it really did resonate with Calcia, what was happening, that applied. It can, I feel like when you are looking at, it's the great vagary of prophecy that we spoke about, like in the first few chapters of the first book, people are like, okay, these are the prophecies. So they go, okay, this is what it's about. This is who it's about. When it might be prophecy about some other figure. We don't have to have one only. Yeah, that's the fun times that we get with trying to pin prophecies on people.
Indeed.
Which he, she, whoever is written here, well, he said sane man, so it is a he.
Right.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the next one. The hero of ages shall be not a man, but a force. No nation may claim him, no woman shall keep him, and no king may slay him. He shall belong to none, not even himself. I mean, that is pretty darn unequivocally male, right?
Mm-hmm. And I think it really still counts as Calcia. Why can't Calcia be the force that is the hero? And then there's somebody that does physical stuff, goes and actually does physical fighting and things like that. But the Hero of Ages as a force means that it doesn't have to actually be so it says not a man but a force. Okay, so that you could tenuously say, well, that means that it doesn't, that the pronoun actually is just being used, when you don't know the pronoun, a lot of the time people will just put he instead of they. So maybe that's what's going on here.
I don't know.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, but possible. But then I got to that I wear the piercings of the hero unjustly. Now, part of that, I think at the time we had assumed was just Terrace fashion. But Vin has one very specific piercing that is frequently referenced. Her ear.
Yes.
And her earring.
Yeah, and weirdly given to her by her mom, and we don't know where her Terrace blood comes from as well. Like her, because we are convinced, yes, that she can do, what do you call it? She's a, what is the word? Yes, no, but alchemist.
Ferrocamalamancer.
Ferrocamalamancer. So there's also that part of it, that she could have Terrace in her because she is, I think, a ferrochemist.
Right. I don't disagree with that. I'm still thinking
on the
that
piercing.
As well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, those were the segments pertaining specifically to prophecy that I had picked out. But there was one other epigraph that stood out to me because I was really noticing all of the foreshadowing regarding the Reshek of it. There was one that I didn't recall. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd remained there in that lazy village of my birth. I'd have become a smith like my father. Perhaps I'd have a family, sons of my own. When Vin uses the 11th metal and she does not see a smith, she sees a trader or something, right?
Yeah, she sees a Pac-Man.
Yes. With the beard and everything. She does not see a smith, so that's another little subtle Sanderson. Go on.
Yeah, but think about it. It was a subtle Sanderson because that was a little hint to tell us that it was Reshek. Because this is exactly. That was a lovely one where, because we were like, we were supposed to keep in mind that where's the smith, but then again, I just kept the rural thing in mind.
Right. Because they're like the hindsight obviousness of Reshek hates me. He says his people should be dominant and they like to adopt Clemmy culture. But this one really seemed uniquely cool to me that I thought I'd highlight it here.
Now I'm starting to think we were supposed to do all of the epigraphs together, look at them all together at some stage. So many ideas. Still time. Can't keep track of them. Yeah.
With that said, shall we get into the chapter?
Let's go.
Action. Vin reacted, immediately springing away. She moved with incredible speed, tasseled cloak swirling as she skidded across the wet cobblestones. The coins hit the ground behind her, throwing out chips of stone, then leaving trails in the mist as they ricocheted away.
Oracia, go!
She snapped, though he was already fleeing toward a nearby alleyway. Vin spun into a low crouch, hands and feet on the cool stones, allomantic metals flaring in her stomach. She burned steel, watching the translucent blue lines appear around her. She waited, tense, watching for... Another group of coins shot from the dark mists, each one trailing a blue line. Vin immediately flared steel and pushed against the coins, deflecting them out into the darkness. The night fell still again. The street around her was wide for Luthadel, though tenements rose high on either side. Mist spun lazily, making the ends of the street disappear into a haze. A group of 8 men appeared from the mists and approached. Vin smiled. She had been right. Someone was following her, but these men weren't the Watcher. They didn't have his solid grace, his sense of power. These men were something far more blunt. Assassins. I appreciated that juxtaposition. Blunt assassin.
Yeah, that worked very well. And also just we get okay, who is this? More of the intrigue into who is the Watcher, because the Watcher's got grace and a sense of power. Who is this person?
Yep. Also, I'm coming off of having just watched Blood and Cheese, so I'm all about this
blunt assassin.
Blunt assassin thing. Anyway, it made sense. If she had arrived with an army to conquer Luthadel, the first thing she'd have done was send a group of Allomancers to kill Elend. She felt a sudden pressure at her side, and she cursed as she was thrown off balance, her coin pouch jerking away from her waist. She ripped its string free, letting the enemy Allomancer push the coins away from her. The assassins had at least one coin shot, a Misting, who had the power to burn steel and push on metals. In fact, 2 of the assassins trailed blue lines pointing to coin pouches of their own. Vin considered returning the favor and pushing their pouches away, but hesitated. No need to play her hand yet. She might need those coins. We're still early in the book, so Sanderson is teaching us as we go along.
Yeah, and we understand that. It's good. It's just a recap of how it's all working. You can just jump in.
Yeah. Without coins of her own, she couldn't attack from a distance. If this was a good team, then attacking from a distance would be pointless. Their coin shots and lurchers would be ready to deal with pushed coins. Fleeing wasn't an option either. These men hadn't come for her alone. If she fled, they'd continue on to their real goal. That's an assumption right there. But
yeah, what are you feeling about what their goal is?
I mean, 2 things. One, Straff, I have no doubt, underestimates Elend. So why should he really care about Elend? And as far as Straff is concerned, Elend is an idiot boy. So why bother? Let him work his own undoing. Let's kill the Mistborn, the one with the real power, you know?
Yeah, that's where I'm at. It's like, look, I do understand that you would want to kill Elend. That's what I do understand you would want. It gets rid of him. You don't have the leader and whatever. That's always an option in war, is assassinate the leader, see how it happens. They might leave a vacuum of power in which to just rush in. But you're right, the person with the real power is Vin, and it's assumed that's pretty well known. So for me, it makes sense that she's the target.
Yeah, same. Nobody sent assassins to kill bodyguards. Assassins killed important men like Elend Venture, king of the Central Dominance, the man she loved. Vin flared pewter, body growing tense, alert, dangerous.
4 thugs at the front,
she thought, eyeing the advancing men. The pewter burners would be inhumanly strong, capable of surviving a great deal of physical punishment. Very dangerous up close.
And the one carrying the wooden shield is a lurcher.
She feinted forward, causing the approaching thugs to jump backward. 8 Mistings against 1 Mistborn was decent odds for them, but only if they were careful. I thought that was funny, yeah?
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like Vin's confidence.
Yeah. The 2 coin shots moved up the sides of the streets so that they'd be able to push at her from both directions. The last man, standing quietly beside the lurcher, had to be a smoker, relatively unimportant in a fight. His purpose was to hide his team from enemy Allomancers.
Just more of the education. It's you have to have it in, I understand. Also, but also just want to remark on Vin's strategic thinking. She thinks fast. She's good. She's on her feet. I like the way we have Vin's thinking as well in this.
Yes, it's really well done. And it makes it easier to comprehend. Like, if I were picking this book up first, it would, I imagine, be easier to comprehend and internalize what the different metals and titles do based off of the fact that it's coming from Vin's assessment rather than just boring narration prose.
Exactly. Yeah, it's great.
8 Mistings. Kelsier could have done it. He'd killed an Inquisitor. She wasn't Kelsier. She'd yet to decide if that was a bad or a good thing. This little section stood out to me because Elend spent a lot of time thinking about Kelsier in that first chapter. And here we have Vin. And I had said back in chapter 34, this cannot be the end of Kelsier's story. I suspect Kelsier will be playing an immense presence in virtually everyone's character in this book, or at least those who knew him.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a given for me.
Yeah. Vin took a deep breath, wishing she had a bit of atium to spare and burned iron. This let her pull on a nearby coin, one of those that had been shot at her, much as steel would have let her push on it. She caught it, dropped it, then jumped, making as if to push on the coin and shoot herself into the air. One of the coin shots, however, pushed against it first, shooting it away. Since allomancy would only let a person push directly away from or pull directly toward their body, Vin was left without a decent anchor. Pushing against the coin would only shoot her sideways. She dropped back to the ground.
Let them think they have me tracked,
she thought, crouching in the center of the street. The thugs approached a little more confidently.
Yes, I know what you're thinking. This is the Mistborn who killed the Lord Ruler? This scrawny thing? Can it be possible? I wonder the same thing myself.
Yeah, I love how you did that with a degree of confidence and then just that awe at the end of it. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah. The first thug ducked in to attack and Vin burst into motion. Obsidian daggers flashed in the night as she ripped them free from their sheaths, and blood sprayed black in the darkness as she ducked beneath the thug's staff and slashed her weapons across his thighs. The man cried out. The night was no longer silent.
Damn!
Damn indeed. Men cursed as Vin moved through them. The thug's partner attacked her, blurringly fast, his muscles fueled by pewter. His staff whipped a tassel from Vin's mist cloak as she threw herself to the ground, then pushed herself back up out of a third thug's reach. A spray of coins flew toward her. Vin reached out and pushed on them. The coin shot continued his push as well, and Vin's push smashed against his. Pushing and pulling metals was all about weight, and with the coins between them, that meant Vin's weight was slammed against the assassin's weight. Both were tossed backward. Vin shot out of a thug's reach. The coin shot fell to the ground.
Hold on, reminiscent here of the part with Calcia when they bent when she bent the coin. And yes, it is about weight, but also she is strong. It's weight and strength because her push, the strength of her push, isn't it? That's why she had a bit more of. That's why they were able to bend the coin because she had more strength against Calcia. So just bringing that one up.
Well worth bringing up. Mm-hmm. A flurry of coins came at her from the other direction. Still tumbling in the air, Vin flared steel, giving herself an extra burst of power. Blue lines were a jumbled mess, but she didn't need to isolate the coins to push them all away. This coin shot let go of his missiles as soon as he felt Vin's touch. The bits of metal scattered out into the mists. Vin hit the cobblestone's shoulder first. Ow!
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
She rolled, flaring pewter to enhance her balance, and flipped to her feet. At the same time, she burned iron and pulled hard on the disappearing coins. They shot back toward her. As soon as they got close, Vin jumped to the side and pushed them toward the approaching thugs. The coins immediately veered aside, twisting through the mists toward the lurcher. His one allomantic power as a misting was to pull with iron. He did this effectively, protecting the thugs. He raised his shield and grunted from the impact as the coins hit it and bounced away. Vin was already moving again. She ran directly for the now exposed coin shot to her left, the one who had fallen to the ground. The man yelped in surprise, and the other coin shot tried to distract Vin, but he was too slow. The coin shot died with an obsidian dagger in his chest. He was no thug. He couldn't burn pewter to enhance his body. Vin pulled out her dagger, then yanked his pouch free. He gurgled quietly and collapsed back to the stones.
1.
Damn, she's counting.
Yeah, I'm like, sorry, just reminiscent of counting the orc kills in the battle.
That still only counts as one.
Yeah, still only counts as 1.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But also, that's our first casualty of the book. Yes.
Yes. Also, one of the things that came to mind was just remember Vin killing for the first time when she went to Critic Shore with Calcia. And it was like, she'd never done anything like that before. And she's just like, okay, he's gurgling. Okay, that's 1. Because she knows this is survival here. She doesn't have time to be like, oh my God, I've killed a man. And also she's killed several men.
Yeah. So. And I mean, she refers to herself as a killer later this chapter, yeah?
Yeah, she is. So get it. 1.
Vin thought, spinning, sweat flying from her brow. She now faced 7 men down the corridor-like street. They probably expected her to flee. Instead, she charged. So 1, that is cool.
Yes.
2, this is becoming a bit of a habit with her.
Of just like charging in, not running. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like frequently people will expect her to be at her limit, but she bluffs them and then goes in.
Yeah, she uses her small size, she uses their underestimation to her advantage.
Yeah, I mean, she did it with Shan. She did it elsewhere that I can't recall just this second. I think she's done it several times now.
Yeah, whenever she's fighting, really, she does end up doing this because everybody. I like that. I like that. It's not like, oh, she's suddenly formidable and everyone's very scared of her. It's like even when they fight against her, her size makes them go, nah, this can't be it. This one? Yeah.
Yeah. As she got close to the thugs, she jumped, then threw down the pouch she'd taken from the dying man. The remaining coin shot cried out, immediately pushing it away. Vin still managed to get some lift from the coins, throwing herself in a leap directly over the heads of the thugs. One of them, the wounded one, had unfortunately been smart enough to remain behind to protect the coin shot. The thug raised his cudgel as Vin landed. She ducked his first attack, raising her dagger, and a blue line danced into her vision. Quick! Vin reacted immediately, twisting and pushing against a door latch to throw herself out of the way. She hit the ground on her side, then flung herself up with one hand. She landed, skidding on mist-wetted feet. A coin hit the ground behind her, bouncing against the cobbles. It hadn't come close to hitting her. In fact, it had seemed aimed at the remaining assassin coin shot. He'd probably been forced to push it away. But who had fired it? That was like, whoa, what's going on?
That did you not go, okay, so I did start thinking, Watcher, who is this?
Did you? I did not think of the Watcher immediately, but
I was looking out for him, I suppose.
That makes sense.
And
and
because I was like, yeah, sorry.
It makes so much sense. Go on.
Orisia?
No, I thought we were going to talk about it more, but
go on there about the. No, it's the. No, I'm good. I don't know what else could we say. It's just it makes it. I don't know. I knew that there was something else going on because of this messenger coin that came along. Look,
at this point, we do know that Elend and Ham were discussing Vin's whereabouts. It would not have been unreasonable. Things were happening very fast as I was reading, but it would not have been unreasonable to think that Elend had sent some other folks to watch out for her or something.
But the way that this help was made is like, this person is not actually trying to kill, or maybe they are killing. I suppose they were trying to, but it's one coin. Yeah.
We'll get to it a little bit later in this chapter. Actually, I think we'll get it at the very end of the chapter. But I'll say it now. In the last chapter, Vin thought very specifically that she spars with the Watcher. But at the end of this chapter, well, yeah, I'll say it now. She says something to the effect of, I've been trying to chase him down and I've never caught him. That's very different than sparring, right?
Yeah. But you could, you know what, considering the nature of mistborning, you kind of spar and chase at the same time, considering how it is. You're always just moving around, zooming all over the place. So that's what true. It seems the same to me. Sparring, the way that Calcia would just pitch up out of nowhere, and then she has to fight him, and then they're throwing each other against trees and things. Like it's a chase and a fight at the same time.
True. Well said. Anyway, let's go on.
Orisia?
Vin wondered, but that was foolish. The Kandra was no Allomancer, and besides, he wouldn't have taken the initiative. Orasur did only what he was expressly told. That seems a little ominous to me, yeah?
Yeah, Vinsight as well. It's just okay.
It speaks to the relationship.
Yes, that's our first little nod towards the relationship. Like, okay.
And I am calling it now. or a Asur at some point in this book will disobey an order, and it will be a pivotal moment. Calling it here.
Okay. Okay. It will show what will he will disobey. Will it be a good thing that he disobeyed or a bad?
That I don't know. That I am not yet prepared to call.
Okay, but it's that there will be disobedience.
Yeah. I can't even begin to. I think it'll be good. Maybe good. Like, we'll see.
He develops a soul, hopefully. I'm hoping he does.
Yeah, me too. I want that to be the case.
Yeah, I don't want him to be bad.
Yeah.
Sweet summer child.
The assassin coin shot looked equally confused. Vin glanced up, flaring tin, and was rewarded with the sight of a man standing atop a nearby building. A dark silhouette. He didn't even bother to hide.
It's him, the Watcher.
The Watcher remained atop his perch, offering no further interference as the thugs rushed Vin. She cursed as she found 3 staves coming at her at once. She ducked one, spun around the other, then planted a dagger in the chest of the man holding the third. He stumbled backward, but didn't drop. Pewter kept him on his feet.
Why did the Watcher interfere?
Vin thought as she jumped away.
Why would he shoot that coin at a coin shot who could obviously push it away? Good.
Yes. Her preoccupation with the Watcher nearly cost her her life as an unnoticed thug charged her from the side. It was the man whose legs she'd slashed. Vin reacted barely in time to dodge his blow, but that put her into range of the other 3. All attacked at once. I feel like this is second wind almost.
We had the opposition, yeah.
Yeah, we had the first phase of this fight, and now we've got the second.
Yeah, that's good.
She managed to twist out of the way of 2 of the strikes, but the third crashed into her side. The powerful blow tossed her across the street, and she collided with the shop's wooden door. She heard a crack. Oof. She heard a crack from the door, fortunately, and not her bones, and she slumped to the ground, daggers lost. A normal person would be dead. Her pewter-strengthened body was tougher than that. I'm glad they had that in there because I was just about to say she's been taking some hits this go around.
And I just keep thinking of her, how small she is. It's just a small body, like just pat all over the place.
Yup. She gasped for breath, forcing herself up to her feet, and flared tin. The metal enhanced her senses, including her sense of pain, and then sudden shock cleared her mind. Her side ached where she'd been struck, but she couldn't stop, not with a thug charging her, swinging his staff in an overhead blow. Crouching before the doorway, Vin flared pewter and caught the staff in both hands. She growled, pulling back her left hand, then cracked her fist against the weapon, shattering the fine hard wood in a single blow. Woo!
Yeah, that is cool. She is strong. I'm sorry. Like, I know that pewter makes you strong, yes, but she is strong in her pewtering, you know?
Yes.
Oh.
The thug stumbled, and Vin smashed her half of the staff across his eyes. Though dazed, he stayed on his feet.
Can't fight the thugs. I have to keep moving.
She dashed to the side, ignoring her pain. The thugs tried to follow, but she was lighter, thinner, and much more important, faster. She circled them, coming back toward the coin-shot smoker and lurcher. A wounded thug had again retreated to protect these men. As Vin approached, the coin-shot threw a double handful of coins at her. Vin pushed the coins away, then reached out and pulled on the ones in the bag at the man's waist. The coin-shot grunted as the bag whipped toward Vin. It was tied by a short tether to his waist, and the pull of her weight jerked him forward. The thug grabbed and steadied him. And since her anchor couldn't move, Vin was instead pulled toward it. She flared her iron, flying through the air, raising a fist. The coin-shot cried out, and he pulled a tie to free the bag.
Too late. I'm sorry. I'm so excited. It's so exciting. I really enjoy these action scenes. And I think it was actually a comment that will be a few weeks past by the time this comes out. But somebody said how one of the fights in the previous book was like perfect for anime. This is also, I would just love to have this animated.
Oh yeah, it would be so cool.
Like, I have no doubt a live action would be cool too if Brandon Sanderson could be in control of it and things like that. But damn, I would like an anime so we could just get all of it. Oh, we could get the, you know.
Yeah, I really, really think it needs to be animated, not live action, personally.
Yeah. It would make such a good anime. Yeah.
Yeah. The things you could do in animation for Alamancy that you just cannot do.
Yeah. Exactly.
One day.
Mm-hmm.
Too late. Vin's momentum carried her forward, and she drove her fist into the coin shot's cheek as she passed. His head spun around, neck snapping. As Vin landed, she brought her elbow up into the surprised thug's chin, tossing him backward. Her foot followed, crashing against the thug's throat. Neither rose. That was 3 down. The discarded coin pouch fell to the ground, breaking and throwing 100 sparkling bits of copper across the cobblestones around Vin. Also noteworthy here is it's incredible how Brandon Sanderson's lectures, you literally see the things he teaches in the books. You see the sense of progression. I remember him specifically talking about fight scenes and fight choreography and counting the bad guys down, essentially. And we're seeing that here. 1, 2, 3 down.
As the writer, you have to keep track of how many there are, okay? But also the reader needs to kind of also just, because everything is very active and there's this and that. It is as confusing as a fight scene is visually, where you can't keep track of things, because you want people to be a bit overwhelmed and involved in the action. But having these little, like, okay, that's 3, that does also help. I like that.
Yeah. The discarded coin pouch fell to the ground, breaking and throwing 100 sparkling bits of copper across the cobblestones around Vin. She ignored the throbbing in her elbow and faced down the lurcher. He stood with his shield, looking strangely unworried. A crack sounded behind her. Vin cried out, her tin-enhanced ears over-amplifying the sudden sound. Pain shot through her head, and she raised hands to her ears. She'd forgotten the smoker, who stood holding 2 lengths of wood, crafted to make sharp noises when pounded together. That's so cool.
That's new, right? Like, I'm like, oh, that's clever.
I think it is.
Yeah, that's new to me. Like, it's specifically, I felt that. I felt the pain.
A great equalizer.
Yeah. At least just to give us in a fight that is this fast, any sort of flinch is an asset, like a win.
Yeah. Movements and reactions, actions and consequences. These were the essence of Alamancy. Tin made her eyes pierce the mists, giving her an edge over the assassins, but Tin also made her ears extremely acute. The smoker raised his sticks again, then growled and yanked a handful of coins off the cobblestones, then shot them at the smoker. The lurcher, of course, pulled them toward him instead. They'd hit the shield and bounced free, and as they sprayed into the air, Vin carefully pushed one so it fell behind him. I knew exactly what she was going to do, and I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, I loved it. I was like, yes, okay, let's go.
The man lowered his shield, unaware of the coin Vin had manipulated. Vin pulled, whipping the single coin directly toward her and into the lurcher's upper back. He fell without a sound.
4.
Damn.
Love it.
All fell still. The thugs running toward her drew to a stop, and the smoker lowered his sticks. They had no coin shots and no lurchers, nobody that could push or pull metal, and Vin stood amid a field of coins. If she used them, even the thugs would fall quickly. All she had to do was... Another coin shot through the air, fired from the Watcher's rooftop. Vin cursed, ducking, but the coin wasn't aimed at her. It took the stick-holding smoker directly in the forehead. The man toppled backward, dead.
What?
Vin thought, staring at the dead man. And then it's, okay, the Watcher's helping her.
Yes.
Is this a guardian of some kind, or is this a person testing her?
Yeah, the plot thickens with this Watcher guy. You're like, oh, okay, he's first of all, they haven't fought to the death, so good on that. Mistborns seem to do that, and now he's helping her. He warned her before, basically, he was warning her, and now it's like, now he's literally gone and killed someone for her.
Yep.
And she is surprised. So it's like, okay, she's been sparring with this guy, but she knows he's not. She knows she isn't. She isn't certain he is an ally, but now he's really done something that makes him an ally. So.
Right. And here's one of the things is, like, my immediate imaginative self comes up with this situation where it's like, okay, this watcher must be determining whether or not Vin is the hero of ages, right? Or something like that. Anyway, this watcher is mysterious.
We're here for it.
Yes. The thugs charged, but Vin retreated, frowning.
Why kill the smoker? He wasn't a threat anymore.
Unless... Vin extinguished her copper, then burned bronze, which let her sense when other Allomancers were using powers nearby. She couldn't feel the thugs burning pewter. They were still being smoked, their allomancy hidden. Someone else was burning copper. Suddenly, it all made sense. It made sense that the group would risk attacking a full Mistborn. It made sense that the Watcher had fired at the coin shot. It made sense that he had killed the smoker. Vin was in grave danger. She only had a moment to make her decision. She did so on a hunch, but she'd grown up on the streets, a thief and a scam artist. Hunches felt more natural to her than logic ever would. Okay, so we more or less know why. Yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
And then that line, hunches felt more natural to her than logic ever would, I think directly connects to Elend likes logic. The line about Elend being logical and her not being in the previous chapter, yeah?
Yeah, needing a logical explanation for everything, she doesn't do that. And also just to throw back to Vin trying the 11th metal and the really reckless thing that she did. Just burning the 11th metal and being like, I'll stab that guy. And she had a hunch and it was wrong, but she still went and did it.
Yep.
Orassier, go for the palace.
It was a code, of course. Vin jumped back, momentarily ignoring the thugs as her servant ducked out of an alleyway. Note, she thinks of him as her servant. He pulled something off his belt and whipped it toward Vin, a small glass vial, the kind that Allomancers use to store metal shavings. Vin quickly pulled the vial to her hand. A short distance away, the second coin shot, who had lain there as if dead, now cursed and scrambled to his feet. Vin spun, drinking the vial with a quick gulp. It contained only a single bead of metal, atium. She couldn't risk carrying it on her own body, couldn't risk having it pulled away from her during a fight. She'd ordered Orassur to remain close this night, ready to give her the vial in an emergency. The coin shot pulled a hidden glass dagger from his waist, charging at Vin ahead of the thugs, who were getting close. Vin paused for a moment, regretting her decision, but seeing its inevitability. The men had hidden a Mistborn among their numbers.
Yeah. Clever.
Yeah. Very.
Respected.
Yep. A Mistborn like Vin, a person who could burn all 10 metals. A Mistborn who had been waiting for the right moment to strike at her, to catch her unprepared. He would have atium, and there was a single way to fight someone who had atium. It was the ultimate allomantic metal, usable only by full Mistborn, and it could easily decide the fate of a battle. Each bead was worth a fortune, but what good was a fortune if she died? It's true. It's
true. Use it.
What's that video gaming term for players who never like to use certain types of items for fear that they will need it later?
I don't know if there is another word other than hoarder.
It's not hoarder. Let me look it up quickly.
Like infinite carry weight is my jam.
The name's not coming to me right now, and a quick Google search, I couldn't find it. So if anyone happens to know, let us know.
Reference in the chat.
I'm pretty sure there's like a pseudo-psychological term for it. It's like, I will need this later, therefore, and then later never comes.
The same mechanism does apply to hoarders, but I understand what you mean.
Anyway, Vin burned her atium. The world around her seemed to change. Every moving object, swinging shutters, blowing ash, attacking thugs, even trails of mist, shot out a translucent replica of itself. The replicas moved right in front of their real counterparts, showing Vin exactly what would happen a few moments in the future. Only the Mistborn was immune. Rather than shooting out a single atium shadow, he released dozens, the sign that he was burning atium too. He paused briefly. Vin's own body would have just exploded with dozens of confusing atium shadows. Now that she could see the future, she could see what he was going to do. That in turn changed what she was going to do, which changed what he was going to do. And so, like the reflections in two mirrors facing each other, the possibilities continued into infinity. Neither had an advantage. Though their Mistborn paused, the three unfortunate thugs continued to charge, having no way to know that Vin burnt Atium. Vin turned, standing beside the body of the fallen smoker. With one foot, she kicked the sound sticks into the air.
Nice. Yep. I was just appreciating that. Yeah, yes, they're burning Atium. This is the next level. When Mistborn are fighting each other, you realize, oh yeah, being a misting is there's lots of limits to it. You can understand. Like, oh, they're just they have no way to know she's burning Atium, so they are just absolutely they're telegraphing their moves. Okay.
Yeah. A thug arrived, swinging. His diaphanous Atium shadow of a staff blow passed through her body. Vin twisted, ducking to the side, and could feel the real staff pass over her ear. The maneuver seemed easy within the aura of Atium. She snatched one of the sound sticks from the air, then slammed it up into the thug's neck. Ooh.
Ouch.
Yeah. She spun, catching the other sound stick, then twisting back and cracked it against the man's skull. He staggered, groaning, and Vin spun again, easily dodging between two more staves. She smashed the noise sticks against the sides of the wounded thug's head. They shattered, ringing with a hollow sound like that of a drummer's beat as the thug's skull cracked.
Clickety-crack, clickety-clack. Jeez. Ooh! This is the gore. There is gore in here. You could go hard with this.
It is. I'm imagining X-Men First Class, the scene with Quicksilver.
Yes, that sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah. He fell and did not move again. Vin kicked his staff into the air, then dropped the broken sound stick and caught it. She spun, twisting the staff and tripping both remaining thugs at once. In a fluid motion, she delivered two swift yet powerful blows to their faces.
Yeah, boy!
She fell to a crouch as the men died, holding the staff in one hand, her other hand resting against the mist-whited cobblestones. The Mistborn held back, and she could see uncertainty in his eyes. Power didn't necessarily mean competence, and his two best advantages, surprise and Atium, had been negated. He turned, pulled a group of coins up off the ground, then shot them, not toward Vin, but toward Orhasur, who still stood in the mouth of an alleyway. The Mistborn obviously hoped that Vin's concern for her servant would draw her attention away, perhaps letting him escape. Not a bad plan.
Yeah, it makes sense. He's trying to find advantages, so yeah.
The Mistborn probably doesn't know that Orhasur is a Khandra, and therefore Vin left her companion to die, so his last thoughts were probably something to the effect of, my God, she's a sociopath.
Yeah, she doesn't give a damn at all. Horrible. Yeah.
He was wrong. Vin ignored the coins, dashing forward. Even as Orhasur cried out in pain, a dozen coins piercing his skin, Vin threw her staff at the Mistborn's head. Once it left her fingers, its Atium shadow became firm and singular. The Mistborn assassin ducked, dodging perfectly, but the move distracted him long enough for her to close the distance. She needed to act quickly. The Atium bead she'd swallowed had been small. It would burn out quickly, and once it was gone, she'd be exposed. Her opponent would have total power over her. Her terrified opponent, raised his dagger. At that moment, his Atium ran out. Vin's predatory instincts reacted instantly, and she swung a fist. I loved that sneaking in there of the word predatory.
Absolutely.
Because that is not the first time we've heard Vin referred to with such a word.
Yeah, predatory, and she, her instincts, it works. We need
grace
that.
of a predator, not a noble lady.
Yeah, exactly. She's dangerous, boy.
He raised an arm to block her blow, but she saw it coming, and she changed the direction of her attack. The blow took him square in the face. Then, with deft fingers, she snatched his glass dagger before it could fall and shatter. She stood and swung it through her opponent's neck. He fell quietly.
So cool!
Oh, yeah. Now, I will say, because we haven't quite gotten to the part where she thinks of herself as a killer yet, but each of the deaths in the last book was impactful to her. It was still something that was new to her. This is Vin, who has been doing this for a while now. Yeah,
definitely shows. She's used to this, and she's calciering basically as well. This is how she's calciering. She's fighting along. this is as the action scene you would expect from Calcia. Maybe, okay, obviously you would be a bit more effective, I suppose. But she's been misspawning a lot and killing a lot, I suppose.
Vin stood, breathing heavily, the group of assassins dead around her. For a moment, she felt overwhelming power. With Atium, she was invincible. She could dodge any blow, kill any enemy. Her Atium ran out too. Now there I remember thinking, careful of hubris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have so much power, and yes, you have success, but don't let that get into your head. You don't want her to be that shrinking, shriveled little child that was abused and scared all the time. Definitely not. We're not saying that. But we also want her to be aware and we want her not to, again, have that hubris that just will pride before the fall kind of thing.
Especially if she is the hero of ages and she has to go to the Well of Ascension or something to stop the deepness. And like the whole last book was, am I going to take the power for myself? I wonder if in this one moment that's subtly setting that conflict up. Oh no.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's definitely saying like, listen, once there is this power, this magical power that you have, you feel like you can do anything. That has an effect on you. It's not just easy to just let that go, but at least with this, her Atium ran out. That runs out. So there's the principle of just, oh well, your power will run out. You will be vulnerable, but also the power running out also makes you come back to reality. So
yeah, in an instant, everything seemed to grow dull. The pain in her side returned to her mind, and she coughed, groaning. She'd have bruises, large ones. Perhaps some cracked ribs. But she'd won again. Barely. What would happen when she failed? When she didn't watch carefully enough or fight skillfully enough? Elend would die. Vin sighed and looked up. He was still there, watching her from atop a roof. Despite a half-dozen chases spread across several months, she'd never managed to catch him. Someday she would corner him in the night. So that's the sentence I was referring to earlier. So half a dozen chases spread across several months, and she'd never been able to catch him. So is that sufficient to fill the word sparring from the last chapter? Or do you think that there has been genuine fighting and also chases?
I feel like there's been encounters and chasing and fighting at the same time. That would be the sparring of it all. Or maybe she views the chase as sparring, because being able to catch each other is a sparring thing that you would do as Mistborn, is to be able to catch each other at speed. So yeah, the words don't stand out. They're mixed for me, sparring and chasing at the same time. It's very Mistborn.
Gotcha. Someday she would corner him in the night, but not today. She didn't have the energy. In fact, a part of her worried that he'd strike her down.
But he saved me. I would have died if I'd gotten too close to that hidden Mistborn. An instant of him burning at him with me unaware, and I'd have found his daggers in my chest.
I think he's appraising her. I think he's, yeah.
Yeah, he is testing her, but he wants her to stay alive long enough as well. So at the same, he could have gone, well, now you failed the test because you're gonna die.
I've gone to that, but
yeah,
I don't stay there, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, it just doesn't make sense, because he is there is an element of testing. I understand what you mean, but he doesn't want to let her just die as the failure. Like he's still curious. There's curiosity here. So they just need to talk. Oh my gosh, can we just have them speak?
Please? The Watcher stood for a few more moments, wreathed as always in the curling mists. Then he turned, jumping away into the night. Vin let him go. She had to deal with Aura Sore. She stumbled over to him, then paused. His nondescript body, in a servant's trousers and shirt, had been pelted with coins, and blood seeped from the several wounds. He looked up at her. What?
I didn't expect there to be blood.
You probably didn't expect me to feel pain either. I mean, ouch.
Yeah, that is really bad. Okay, yeah. He's been basically turned into a sieve, okay? Like colander.
Oh. Vin opened her mouth, then hesitated. In truth, she hadn't ever thought about it. Then she hardened herself.
What right does this thing have to chastise me?
Finn, I understand you're emotional, but it's what Kelsier wanted.
Yeah. I don't know. She still has this thing against him, and it's like a year later.
Yeah. Vin, you gotta get over it. It was Kelsier's instructions. He specifically said, Orasur, do this. Eat my body. Become me. And make me a deity.
Yeah, but but I guess it's also that's just creepy. So that it could be, yes, there is that emotional thing of, you desecrated the corpse of my father figure, but maybe that's just, no, you desecrated the corpse. Saying it that way, that's bigger than this thing is a creepy monster. Yeah, that's the main thing that sticks with you, isn't it?
Yeah. No, in all seriousness, I get why it would be tough for someone. It's a creepy thing. It steals bodies.
So, and does it have a soul? It feels it's a thing. Does it have a soul?
Or at least that's how she thinks of it.
Yeah, him.
Still, Orasur had proven useful.
Thank you for throwing me the vial.
It was my duty, mistress. Orasur said, grunting as he pulled his broken body up against the side of the alleyway. I was charged with your protection by Master Kelsier. As always, I serve the contract.
Ah, yes, the almighty contract. Can you walk?
Only with effort, mistress. The coins shattered several of these bones. I will need a new body. One of the assassins, perhaps.
Ugh, that's creepy. But I mean, you know what? Okay, that's creepy, but it was the first thing I thought.
Yeah, and it's the pragmatic choice. I'm really annoyed with Vin for not.
Yeah, I'm like, they're right there. They attacked you. They're just take them.
Who else are you gonna?
Yeah, they're right there.
And they tried to kill you. If
exactly.
Yeah, you're gonna be okay with anyone. Desecrate the body of the people that just tried to kill you.
It really is a no-brainer. I'm not getting it, Vin. Now you have morals. What's going on?
And let Orasur play spy. Pretend the assassination was successful. Send him to Straff. Be like, we did it. Let's go. And then, boom, tricked ya. But Straff knows what Kandra are. He could probably detect one if he needed to.
He would be on the lookout for something. Well, not all the time, but it would be an option if he was suspicious. But yeah, another thing is just be getting an insight into how Kandra works. So like, can he can still just keep this body moving around? It's just that the bones are broken, so they don't heal. It's not. He can keep the body alive, but it doesn't heal. It's interesting notes about conjuring.
Yeah. Vin frowned. She glanced back toward the dead men, and her stomach twisted slightly at the gruesome sight of their fallen bodies. She'd killed them, 8 men, with the cruel efficiency that Kelsier had trained her in.
This is what I am. A killer, like those men.
And there's that line.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, you are a killer. So it still does have an impact on her. Like, so she's gone efficiently and killed them all. So definitely we had the efficiency because she was going 1, 2, 3, 4, just going through them. And that's what you need in that situation. You can't sit and cry for every single one of them. But there is still an impact on her afterwards. She doesn't, like, she feels exhilarated by surviving and things like that. But at the end of the day, she's like, oh, damn, I have taken lives. That's not good. But she seems to forget. She seems to forget the key point that those lives were trying to take her life in the process.
Yeah. Self-defense.
Yeah.
And it's a brutal world.
This is war, Vin. But hey, I'm glad she has a soul.
Yes. That was how it had to be. Someone had to protect Elend. But the thought of Orasur eating one of them, digesting the corpse, letting his strange Kandra senses memorize the positioning of muscles, skin, and organs so that he could reproduce them, sickened her. She glanced to the side and saw the veiled scorn in Orasur's eyes. They both knew what she thought of him eating human bodies. They both knew what he thought of her prejudice. Interesting that they use the word prejudice there.
Yes, yeah, no, she's a little bit of a racist to Condra.
Is
She
it
doesn't.
racist? Wouldn't it
Yes,
be speciest?
specious. Yeah, I suppose if we it's specious because it's a race in terms of like a D&D race where you would literally have different creatures. You're a different kind of creature. Yeah, not as in human race. But also, they both knew that, so they've gone over this. Some conversations, I'm sure a few of them have happened where she's definitely expressed what she thinks of him. And
Well, it's just we're about to get to it, but there's a specific line regarding whether or not Orisur can kill people. And I got the sense that it is very common for Khandra to be killing people. And it's, where was I going with this? They are scary. They are legitimately scary. Mist wraiths are the boogeymen of the world, right?
Yeah, that's, and the mists will take your face and whatever. They are the legend. Yeah.
So it's not like it's just another group of people that you're prejudiced against. This is, am I justifying prejudice here though? I don't want to justify prejudice.
No, you're not justifying it, but she knows that she's got a prejudice because you're not justifying it. You're explaining where it comes from.
I like that. Let's go with that. That was my intention the entire time. Just explaining it, not advocating for it.
It's origin
I like
story.
The Khandra.
I like the Khandra too for some reason, because I want him to become more human, but also I understand that he isn't human, and that's part of him.
Alien.
Yeah, it's part of his character. He's very alien. He's like, if you suddenly were able to speak to a lion, okay? Lions have instincts and things like that. They have a different morality to a human. This is a predator. This is it's an animal, but it has sentience. It's very interesting. I like it.
Hey, Vin is a predator too. She's predatory.
Exactly. Hypocrite Vin. Yeah.
They both knew what he thought of her prejudice.
No. We won't use one of these men.
You'll have to find me another body then. The contract states that I cannot be forced to kill men.
Okay, so wait, I have a question here. So you said you get the impression that Khandra kill a lot of people.
Yes, so I think Kelsier's contract specifically forbids Orisur from killing men.
And he's just, and the all-important contract is more, because it's part of his contract, he's going to limit himself to it. Okay.
Right, but others, like Tensoon, probably has no problem killing people because that's probably what Straff specifically has him do.
It makes sense that a Khandra would require that sort of thing to do. Like it would be weird if they themselves had something against killing. I don't know. It would be fascinating. It would be cool to understand why they have that.
And why limit yourself to like squirrels and stuff when you've got nice juicy humans walking around out there, ripe for eating?
Beefy humans. Yeah.
With a nice Chianti and some fava beans.
Gross. Okay, stop. No. I don't want the fact that he has to eat them. Like I don't understand how this practicality works. Like, does he become misty and then absorb them? That's what I would be okay with, not the actual chewing.
I imagine it's something like an amoeba, like it just kind of absorbs.
I'm okay with that. Yeah. Whereas eating, like literally yum 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 yum, no.
No, I don't think it's that.
That creeps me out, man.
Vin's stomach twisted again.
I'll think of something.
His current body was that of a murderer taken after an execution. Vin was still worried that someone in the city would recognize the face. Well, then take one of the assassins.
Exactly. The assassins are only killed by you. Okay, they've only been witnessed as dead by you guys. Okay, so it's perfect. Why do you have to? You don't have to watch, Vin. Walk away. Can you get back to the palace?
With time. Vin nodded.
Sorry. Just thinking of like the way you voice him, he's got dignity, right? But he's now just been pelted and he's going to be limping along, just to the poor guy.
Vin nodded, dismissing him, then turned back toward the bodies. She suspected that this night would mark a distinct turning point in the fate of the Central Dominance. Well, obviously, it's only Chapter 2, Vin. Straff's assassins had done more damage than they would ever know. That bead of atium had been her last. The next time a Mistborn attacked her, she would be exposed, and would likely die as easily as the Mistborn she'd slain this night. Woo!
Yeah, Vin. Okay, I understand that you should be thinking that way. We don't want her to have hubris. We don't want her to be like, I don't need atium. But at the same time, don't underestimate yourself, Vin. Don't do what your enemies do.
Yeah, I bet Straff has a lot more atium.
Yes, gosh, they need to find some atium, man.
Yep.
But yeah, that's quite an ominous way to end the chapters. Like, yeah, you enjoyed that fight, did you? Yeah, Vin won, did you? Well, Vin might not be winning in the future, so enjoy.
Mm-hmm. The stakes are raised.
Mm-hmm. Good
chapter, Jinx.
Good chapter.
I'm very excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, very excited. And if we were thinking from just reading this from separately on its own, it's got a lot that if I didn't know anything about Allomancy, I'd be very excited to find out more about it. So yeah, it's enjoyable from knowing absolutely nothing, and it's enjoyable knowing the first book. So happy.
Yes. Anything else to say, Kitty?
Like this video. Subscribe to the No One Asked You podcast.
But also subscribe to that darn Kitty, where she does diagram streams and panel shows. And sometimes, if we're lucky, we get some gaming streams too.
Wee-hee. Yeah. And we'll see you next week.
Okay, thanks, bye.
Thanks, bye.